My name is Mary, and about 4.5 years ago, I was working with my daughter, who was in the 4th grade at the time. She was struggling to read, and I came across a reference to functional vision and behavioral ophthalmology. I'd never heard those words before, but I had been looking for answers, so I decided it was something I would look into. Went to a regular eye doctor and asked him who he would recommend in the Omaha area for functional vision, and he recommended us to Dr. Tanner Gates. That started a journey that has been life-changing, not only for my daughter, but also, it turns out, for me. That spring, we started her in vision therapy. At the time she started, she was finishing up her 4th grade year. She was barely reading in a 2nd grade level. She had extreme anxiety around any type of academic work. It was just miserable. And we had tried everything. We had tried different curriculums. We had tried different programs, and absolutely nothing was helping this child to read. So we went through the vision therapy and we started the next school year. And it became rapidly apparent that she was a different kid. She started choosing to read. She would sit and read for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. Before, I couldn't get her to read for 5 minutes. She was reading on grade level by the end of her 5th grade year. Fast forward to entering 8th grade, and she applied for early admission to Quest Forward High School. She was granted early admission. She scored on the reading map tests at a mid-9th grade level. And partway through her 8th grade year, when her class was reading Antigone, she volunteered to read the part of Antigone out loud in front of her class. That is something my daughter would never have done or been able to do. Giving her the tools she needed and the exercises to learn how to control the movements of her eyes and get her eyes and her muscles and her brain all working together so that the words would stay on the page and she could comfortably interact with printed material was an absolute miracle for her. Even with that challenge handled, she still struggled with a lot of anxiety, especially around academic tasks. And so after a period of time, Dr. Gates suggested that we follow up with his OMST program. I figured it's non-invasive. We're not using any medications. Why not give it a try? And yet again, the results were phenomenal. Coming into OMST, my daughter would have 2 or 3 panic attacks a day, just absolutely emotionally out of control, unable to function. It was really, really difficult to watch. Coming out of OMST, those panic attacks stopped. Those anxiety attacks stopped. She gradually got to where she would try new things on her own. She took a summer mission trip with a few other girls from our church. These are things she never would have tried because of her anxiety. And it was going through the OMST that resolved that for her. Several years later, I suffered a severe concussion, and I did all the traditional therapies. I went over to Madonna, and I was in their traumatic brain injury therapy programs. I couldn't get my life back. I could barely drive. I couldn't cook a meal. I couldn't read. I couldn't focus. I really couldn't function. And so again, Dr. Gates, who had done some of my vision therapy at Madonna, or not done it, but supervised it, suggested I try the OMST. The results from my concussion symptoms were, again, there's no other word but life-changing, and it was almost immediate. The second day of therapy, that evening, I decided to go out and pick up some Culver's ice cream. Night vision had been a problem for me for years. This was not a concussion-related thing, but my night vision had been awful for years. And I'm waiting in the drive-through line at Culver's, and of course the sign is brightly lit, and it's backlit, and that is just not a good situation for someone with night vision. And I realized that it was crystal clear. That was after 2 days of OMST. My night vision has been fine ever since. I was having significant changes to my prescription every year, year after year after year. This had gone on for over a decade. Since OMST, my prescription has been stable. Those were things not even expected and had nothing to do with the concussion. Another thing that had nothing to do with the concussion relates to the same reason my daughter did the OMST. I had some trauma that was causing a significant amount of anxiety for which I was being treated. I haven't needed those medications since I was partway through the 12 days of OMST. It completely resolved the anxiety that I struggled with. As far as the concussion, I'm completely back to normal. I've got my full cognitive function back. I can drive, I can walk, I can be active. The only residual issue is a little bit with stairs or rough terrain. And compared to having no life at all, that was worth the 12 days of OMST and the 30 days of light therapy. I cannot recommend these programs enough. I cannot recommend Dr. Gates and his staff enough. They have truly, truly given my daughter opportunities that I don't know if she would have graduated high school, much less gone any farther. And now she's looking at colleges. It's just so worth it. If your kid is struggling to read and there's no apparent reason, have an evaluation done. When I had my concussion, I realized that I was seeing the way my daughter had seen all her life. The words didn't sit down on the page. They floated around in the air. They wouldn't stay still. How on earth had I expected her to read when the words didn't sit still on the page? It wasn't her fault. And it's not your kid's fault either, and it's not your fault as a parent. And it is fixable. And vision therapy is the method.